With summer coming up, we're entering my favorite season of all, margarita season. I love a classic, refreshing margarita on a hot summer's day to enjoy at barbecues, picnics, and on weekend getaways. For the perfect marg, I use Jose Cuervo, the world's #1 tequila brand. A big thank you to Jose Cuervo for continuing to support the pod and helping us produce content for all of you. Time to embrace margarita season with Jose Cuervo. And remember to drink responsibly. In January 2022, posts started cropping up across Reddit and TikTok questioning why some of the internet's biggest creators had suddenly become obsessed with Snapchat. These internet sleuths noted that huge influencers like David Dobrik, Hannah Stocking, and the D'Amelio sisters had started posting up to 100 times a day on the platform, raising suspicions about how the tech giant was courting these massive creators, and if they were engaged in some type of partnership that their audience wasn't aware of. As one Reddit user wrote in the David Dobrik subreddit, "This is just a guess, but it seems pretty obvious to me that David has some kind of exclusive partnership with Snapchat to only post content there, or to significantly limit other content." Among all the speculated reasons about no vlog and podcast content, it seems to me he might have leveraged this into a deal where he's posting almost entirely on Snapchat. People know that's the only place they're going to get his content these days, which drives people to an outdated platform, which is huge money for David with very little effort. As this Reddit user mentioned, Snapchat had felt like an outdated platform for several years by then. Despite solidifying itself as the preferred app for millennials to communicate throughout their teens and early 20s, Snapchat felt like it was left behind amid the rise of the creator economy. But this partnership with mainstream creators felt like a play to change that. Over the next couple of years, Snapchat would prioritize creator satisfaction better than most of its competitors in a bid to draw more big names to the app. The company launched a lucrative monetization program, encouraged creators to post the easiest content possible with no need for high production quality, and invested in creator relations through dedicated account managers that were accessible via phone call or text. Soon, this strategy started to pay off. Audiences were flocking to watch their favorite creators on Snapchat over YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and the amount of time that users spent on creator stories was increasing 10% year on year. This is the story of Snapchat. How millennials' favorite messaging app proved that it could compete in the creator economy and find relevance once again with the new youngest generation online. From Centennial World, I'm Lauren Meisner, and this is Infinite Scroll, a podcast about internet culture, the creator economy, and how social media is shaping Gen Z. Welcome back to Infinite Scroll, everyone. I'm really excited to be doing another tech deep dive for you guys. The last one was Vine, and I feel like the approach that Vine took and the approach that Snapchat has been taking recently could not be more different. And I think exploring that through this episode will be really interesting, given kind of the context that we have of Vine and why Vine died, and looking at it through the lens of how Snapchat is doing things differently and why they are continually succeeding. But before we get into that, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. It helps me so much. It helps us grow. We are trying to get to 500 Spotify reviews by the end of the year. So please go on Spotify, just star rate us. You don't have to, leave a written review. You can just hit the stars. Please sign up to our newsletter, which is also called Infinite Scroll. On Fridays, we round up the 5 biggest think pieces from the internet that week. And I have one review to read for you guys from Apple. It's by Catastrophe Wife in the US. And they say, "The best pod ever. I usually listen on YouTube. That's where I found Infinite Scroll, but had to come to Apple to make a review." Thank you. I'm trying to cut back on my social media usage. It's been a struggle because of my terminal FOMO, but this pod has been such a good way for me to stay up to date on pop culture in place of scrolling all day. Love, love, love. Oh my God, I'm so glad. That is my favorite type of feedback. A, that the pod helps you guys with work, and B, that you guys can spend less time on your phone because of the pod. Snapchat was founded in 2011 thanks to a trio of Stanford University students, Reggie Brown, Evan Spiegel, and Bobby Murphy. It all started with Brown's idea for a messaging app centered around disappearing photos. According to an anonymous source cited by TechCrunch journalist Ingrid London, the idea came about during a conversation with one of Brown's frat brothers about sexting. Whether this is exactly what sparked the idea for Snapchat or not, the story goes that Brown shared the idea with Spiegel, leading to a handshake deal that laid the foundation for their partnership. Murphy was then brought onto the team as they worked to make the concept into a real platform. According to court documents cited by the Los Angeles Times, the trio divided roles early on. Brown was Chief Marketing Officer, Murphy became Chief Technology Officer, and Spiegel stepped into the role of Chief Executive. While this may seem all pretty above board, things changed when Brown was reportedly pushed out of the company. The three spent time over the summer of 2011 working on the first iteration of Snapchat, then called Peekaboo, and the app was launched in September of that same year. However, according to a lawsuit filed by Brown in 2013, soon after the platform's launch, the three partners held a contentious phone conversation about the startup. Quote, Spiegel decided Brown's contribution wasn't measuring up, according to Spiegel's deposition, and Spiegel and Murphy changed the passwords for the startup's servers and accounts, reports the Los Angeles Times. The lawsuit was settled a year later in 2014, with Snapchat issuing a statement acknowledging that Brown did come up with the concept. The statement declared that, quote, Reggie Brown originally came up with the idea of creating an application for sending disappearing picture messages while he was a student at Stanford University, and that he, quote, collaborated with Spiegel and Murphy on the development of Snapchat during its early and most formative days. According to Snap's filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, reported by the Los Angeles Times, Brown also settled for $157.5 million. The payout was split into two installments, $50 million in 2014 and $107.5 million in 2016. Despite the rocky start between its founders, Snapchat found early success and quickly carved out its place in the digital world. After its iPhone launch in 2011, the app expanded to Android the following year, allowing for a much larger user base. Snapchat's early users were documented in the company's first blog post in 2012, penned by Spiegel. In it, Spiegel revealed that the app's earliest adopters were mostly high school students who used Snapchat to communicate discreetly. Quote, most of them were high school students who were using Snapchat as a new way to pass notes in class. Behind-the-back photos of teachers and funny faces were sent back and forth throughout the day. Server data supported this, and we saw peaks of activity during the school day and dips on the weekend, the blog post reads. According to The Guardian, by June 2013, Snapchat boasted more than 5 million daily active users, with 200 million photos and videos being shared every single day. And this momentum didn't slow. By 2017, the app's daily active users had skyrocketed to 166 million, a 36% increase from the year prior. However, growth plateaued in the late 2010s, with daily active users reaching 191 million in early 2018 and dipping slightly to 190 million by 2019. Nevertheless, Snapchat has since managed to bounce back. Fast forward to 2024, and the platform's resilience is clear, with daily active users climbing to 422 million at the start of this year. Ultimately, this trajectory underscores Snapchat's staying power, even as it continues to navigate the ever-changing landscape of social media. Snapchat's enduring success can largely be attributed to its continuous innovation and the way it refined how people connect online. At its core was the disappearing photo, a feature that felt extremely novel when the platform first launched. While this functionality sparked its fair share of controversy, more on that later, it undeniably struck a chord with users. For many, these messages became a key way to communicate with friends, capturing and sharing moments in real time without the pressure of permanence or perfection. This in-the-moment ethos quickly became central to Snapchat's identity, setting it apart from the competitor platforms at the time. As Spiegel wrote in the inaugural blog post, quote, Snapchat isn't about capturing the traditional Kodak moment. It's about communicating with the full range of human emotion, not just what appears to be pretty or perfect. We're building a photo app that doesn't conform to unrealistic notions of beauty or perfection, but rather creates a space to be funny, honest, or whatever else you might feel like at the moment you take and share a snap. Snapchat's focus on community building and its identity as a messaging-first platform only deepened as it rolled out new features. Now, we won't dive into every single one. Chances are many of you have used Snapchat at one point or another and understand how the app works, but features like memories, geofilters, Bitmojis, and streaks all added new layers to how users could communicate and share their lives. Take Bitmojis, for example. Introduced in 2016 after Snapchat acquired Bitstrips, these customizable avatars gave users a playful way to represent themselves. As Digiday put it at the time, quote, "The draw for users is twofold. It lets them stamp their identity on messages and communicate visually." That same year, Snapchat also launched Streaks, which encouraged friends to exchange snaps daily. This simple yet addictive feature not only drove consistent engagement, but also helped users stay connected with friends in a unique way. These updates may seem small individually, but together they helped cement Snapchat as a cornerstone of digital socializing. Of course, that's not to mention the Snapchat Spectacles that launched in November 2016. At the time, they seemed a bit out there. This was before AI and AR/VR had really taken off, but they offered a new way for users to engage with the app. The first version of Spectacles recorded short 10-second videos in a circular format, which could be viewed on Snapchat or exported elsewhere. While the product had its issues, struggling with broader sales resulting in almost $40 million in unsold inventory, it was still a bold move. Few platforms, aside from Google, were experimenting with hardware like this, making Spectacles a standout example of Snapchat's willingness to define itself as something beyond a social media platform. With Snapchat seeking to strike a balance between innovation, connection, and variety, it's not exactly surprising that certain tech giants hoped to acquire Snapchat. Snapchat got some pretty insane offers from Google and Facebook over the years. In 2013, for instance, Snapchat reportedly turned down a $3 billion buyout from Facebook. According to the Wall Street Journal, Spiegel, who was 23 at the time, was reluctant to accept the deal. He believed Snapchat's rapid growth would lead to more significant buyout opportunities down the line, potentially at a higher valuation. Quote, "They said Spiegel is hoping Snapchat's numbers of users and messages will grow enough by then to justify an even larger valuation," the people briefed on the matter said, wrote the Wall Street Journal. Offers would come flowing in just once again 3 years later in 2016, just a few months before Snapchat would officially go public under the trading symbol Snap. Mark Zuckerberg reportedly approached Spiegel to discuss another potential acquisition, but the CEO once again declined. Google also expressed interest that same year, holding informal talks with Snapchat. Reports suggest the tech giant floated an offer of $30 billion. Despite the significant jump in valuation, Spiegel remained firm on his decision not to sell the company. With Snapchat refusing to budge over the years, it was only a matter of time before other social media companies would start copying the features that made Snapchat so popular. Facebook, for instance, launched Slingshot in 2014. According to Ellis Hamburger for The Verge, Slingshot allowed users to, quote, "take a quick photo or video, mark it up with some colorful drawings, caption it with big white text, and then fire it off to a bunch of friends," which all sounds very Snapchat. But there were some differences. For instance, users couldn't, quote, "view an incoming shot until you send a shot back to the sender." Ultimately, Slingshot didn't take off quite like Snapchat, and the app shuttered a year after its launch. But things really came to a head when Instagram launched Stories in 2016, a feature that originated on Snapchat. Quote, "The feature is nearly identical to the central feed in Snapchat, which is also called Stories and which has helped supercharge the company's growth rate after it was introduced in 2013. Casey Newton reported for The Verge at the time. Even in an industry where building on others' successes is the norm, Instagram's copy and paste take on Snapchat Stories stands out for its sheer brazenness. While other tech companies copied the platform, Snapchat was also inspired by successful elements of different popular social media apps. In 2017, for instance, the platform issued an entire redesign that moved Snapchat away from chronological feeds towards algorithms, much like Facebook and Instagram. Quote, "The redesign separates the app into two feeds and infuses each of them with algorithms. Snapchat is now embracing the black box equations that it once shunned," Carrie Flynn wrote for Mashable upon the redesign's release. The two feeds are starkly different. One feed ranks friends primarily based on how often the user interacts with them. The other suggests community and publisher content primarily based on users' interests. This approach wasn't necessarily groundbreaking, but it was part of what Snapchat needed to stay competitive and connect with the growing creator economy. The platform later fine-tuned its redesign, seeking to solidify its appeal to publishers, influencers, and regular users alike. By 2018, Snapchat combined user-generated stories with professional content on its Discover page, a feature initially introduced in 2015. As Vox reported at the time, quote, "It's possible that putting stories inside Discover is a push to get more people watching publisher content, or content from celebrities. Snapchat could be luring people to the Discover section by putting their friends there." Interestingly, Snapchat later reverted the reverse chronological order for inbox messages, moving away from the algorithm-heavy approach of the original redesign. This kept the app's focus on real-time communication and community building, while still adapting to the growing creator economy. Ultimately, by blending its original messaging format with new features for creators and businesses, Snapchat managed to stay relevant without losing what made it unique in the first place. While Snapchat leaned into features that kept it popular with Gen Z and millennials, the app wasn't without its share of controversy. We won't dive into all the scandals over the years, but they do offer valuable insight into how Snapchat operated and the challenges it has faced along the way. Of course, with disappearing photos at the core of Snapchat, it's no surprise that inappropriate content became a concern. This was especially problematic given the app's user base, some of whom were minors. While there was plenty of panic about teens using the app to share explicit content, studies and reporting suggest it wasn't the main reason they used the app. For most users, the disappearing messages were simply a convenient way to chat and share moments without worrying about permanence. Nevertheless, Snapchat has faced several instances involving the misuse of its disappearing photo feature over the years, leading to privacy violations and legal issues. In 2013, for example, Montreal police arrested a group of teenage boys on child pornography charges for circulating explicit images of their girlfriends. Reports indicated the boys coaxed their partners into taking the photos and sending them via Snapchat. Another notable case, reported by The Guardian, involved a Tumblr blog called Snapchat Sluts in 2012, which published topless photos of women claiming they were submitted willingly. But this was unable to be confirmed. Around the same time, there was also a Facebook page called Snapchat Leaked, which seemingly shared saved Snapchat images without users' permission. Snapchat's disappearing photos and messages feature raised questions about how these images were still being circulated. While screenshots were the most obvious method, third-party apps also allowed users to bypass Snapchat's protections and save supposedly disappearing content. These issues led to a 2014 complaint from the FTC in the United States. The FTC accused Snapchat of misleading users about the permanence of their content, claiming the company overstated promises around disappearing images and messages. Additionally, the FTC alleged that Snapchat collected users' contact information without proper notice or consent and failed to secure its Find Friends feature as promised. As a result, Snapchat agreed to implement a comprehensive privacy program subject to independent monitoring for 20 years. Despite efforts to improve privacy, Snapchat has continued to face concerns over user data. In 2019, reports surfaced that multiple Snap employees had allegedly misused their access to user data, raising serious questions about internal safeguards. More recently, features like Snap Map and My AI have sparked fresh privacy debates. Snap Map, for example, has faced criticism for its potential to enable stalking, while Snapchat's AI chatbot has drawn scrutiny over data collection practices. Beyond issues around privacy, the platform has also been accused of facilitating shady exchanges. Last year, for example, the FBI and the United States Justice Department questioned the role that Snapchat has played in drug dealing, as the United States deals with a surge of fentanyl-related overdoses among young people. Though Snapchat has faced challenges, its user base has continued to grow, along with the number of creators engaging with the platform. Now, Snapchat has long been a space for creators and celebrities to share more more personal content. And in the late 2010s, its popularity among celebrities surged. Kylie Jenner, known on Snapchat as Kylizzle My Nizzle, became one of the platform's most prolific users. She turned her account into a personal diary and promotional tool, sharing everything from Kylie cosmetic swatches and 15-part makeup tutorials to experimenting with new filters. Her approach resonated with fans eager for a look into the lives of the rich and famous, solidifying Snapchat's appeal as a space for authentic and engaging celebrity content. It wasn't long before other big-name celebrities followed suit. Ariana Grande joined Snapchat under the handle @MoonlightBay, Justin Bieber became Rick the Sizzler, and even Nicki Minaj made headlines when she went viral after being bombarded by thousands of fan calls on the app. While mainstream celebrities have largely stepped back from Snapchat, many influencers are as active as ever on the platform. This shift hasn't gone unnoticed, with users wondering why influencers would prioritize Snapchat over platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. While part of this may come down to a community-building component, it also comes down to money. Over the past few years, Snapchat has introduced a number of schemes to bring creators onto the platform. Reportedly, the most lucrative payout program is through Snapchat Spotlight, which was first announced 4 years ago as an answer to TikTok's rising success. Similar to TikTok and other TikTok-inspired interfaces like Reels, Spotlight is a stream of endless content. Quote, although the format will be familiar to anyone who's ever watched TikTok, Snap says it's made specific decisions based on its user base, Ashley Carman wrote for The Verge at the time of the launch. For one, Spotlight snaps won't feature a public comment section, and profiles themselves are private by default, so Snapchatters can keep their accounts locked while still posting content. Upon its rollout, the company announced it would pay out Spotlight creators from a pot of $1 million per day. Snapchat promised it would continue to pay these awards at least through 2020. According to Business Insider, within months, several creators had already earned over $1 million. At the time of the interview, TikTok creators Katie Feeney and Joey Rogoff were both on track to hit the $1 million mark, while Cam Casey had raked in over $3.5 million. With that being said, the introduction of Spotlight put Snapchat on the map for creators looking to grow their careers and get paid. Quote, the energy goes where the money is. I put 100% of my focus into Snapchat just because it's where the money is. We'd love to see it turn into more of a long-term thing like TikTok Creator Fund, Cam Casey told the publication. But of course, the rate of these payouts couldn't exactly last forever. In 2021, the company changed its payout structure, rewarding creators millions per week, down from $1 million per day. They lowered the payment again in 2022, announcing the company would be paying creators millions per year. Business Insider explored the impact of declining Spotlight payouts with stories from influencers like Nathan Kessel. He shared that he had been earning between $20,000 and $50,000 per month on Spotlight in 2021, bringing his total earnings to 6 figures, before payouts suddenly stopped in November of that year. Though payments resumed in mid-2022, Nathan noted they were less consistent, making it harder for creators to rely on Spotlight as a stable income source. Quote, as a creator, it is absolutely terrifying to go from making this kind of money to then absolutely nothing. It will last for some time, and then all of a sudden it's gone without any kind of notice. Though creator payments have decreased significantly since 2020, Spotlight is reportedly a priority for the company. In a leaked internal memo from September 2022, CEO Evan Spiegel told staff he wanted 30% of users on Spotlight every single day in 2023. According to the memo, the CEO argued that encouraging users to engage with Snap Maps and Spotlight, quote, helps to make our service more compelling for our community, harder to copy, and more resilient to competition, and increases our monetization opportunity over the longer term. While Spotlight definitely has appeal for creators, there are other financial opportunities that have brought influencers to the platform in recent years. One of them being the Snapstars program that was launched in 2022. According to the Snapchat website, Snapstars, quote, are public figures or creators who bring some of the best and most engaging content to Snapchat. But it isn't just a group. it's also the company's advertising revenue share program. Although details about Snapstar's inner workings remain unclear, it has definitely incentivized top creators like David Dobrik and the D'Amelios to create content specifically for Snapchat, signaling to the platform's continued appeal even in such a crowded social media landscape. Quote, though a representative for Snap declined to share the revenue split with Snapstars, a source close to the company says it's a 50-50 split. Alexandra Sternlich explains for Fortune. Snap creators are paid in crystals, whose exchange rate is roughly $1 to 10 crystals, and can be paid out after a creator has earned over 1,000 crystals or $100. On top of this, many creators find Snapchat appealing because it reduces the opportunity for public scrutiny. Influencers like David Dobrik, Austin McBroom, and Shane Dawson, who have faced significant backlash, are among those who have embraced the platform. While the financial incentives are undeniable, Snapchat's lack of a comment section or timeline-like feature helps limit public discourse around their posts, making it an enticing option for those under fire who also want to continue posting online. Think of it almost like a Patreon, but without having to ask your audience to pay to support you. David Dobrik's pivot to Snapchat came after his public cancellation in 2021. If you aren't familiar with everything that went down, an expose alleged that David was complicit in his longtime friend Dom Zegliadis' sexual assault of a college student. Around the same time, his former collaborator Jeff Wittick began speaking out about a 2020 stunt that left him seriously injured. While initially on good terms, things soured in early 2022 when David claimed the stunt was Jeff's idea, a detail Jeff had reportedly asked David to keep private. David explained that he felt unfairly blamed and also used his podcast to issue an apology. Jeff responded with threats of legal action and later that year filed a $10 million lawsuit against David for, quote, general negligence and intentional tort. Shortly after, David stopped posting to his YouTube channel, which boasted over 18 million subscribers at the time, and he paused his podcast. Speculation arose among former fans that these moves were tied to legal advice surrounding Jeff's lawsuit. At the time of recording, David has not posted on his main channel since March 2022. While he did take a step back from social media, that definitely did not include Snapchat. David has gone on to embrace the platform entirely, accumulating 6.8 million followers and posting 80 to 100 times a day, as Kaya Urif notes for the information. His stories are reminiscent of the Vlog Squad era, often featuring him alongside his friends doing random activities, whether eating food, shopping, or partying. David has told reporters that he enjoys posting on Snapchat because, quote, stories are like the raw experience of someone's day. And it is, quote, the easiest way of continuing what I was doing on YouTube without carrying a ginormous camera in my hand. While convenience is a valid reason for his shift, Snapchat also offers an environment with limited criticism, something far less common on other platforms. This lack of public pushback creates a healthier experience for creators, but has also inadvertently made Snapchat a haven for those who faced cancellation. Other controversial figures, like Austin McBroom of the Ace family, have found success on Snapchat. Austin currently has 7.7 million followers and frequently posts videos of his daily life, chatting to the camera. Over the years, Austin has faced serious allegations, including accusations of sexual assault, cheating, and failing to pay vendors. In 2023, he stopped posting on YouTube and shifted his focus to Snapchat. Austin has gone viral several times, not always for the best reasons, as you might expect. But most recently, after his divorce from Catherine Payaz, he gained significant attention for his Snapchat stories. While social media users initially believed Catherine was thriving, especially given Austin's history of cheating allegations, Austin's Snapchat posts told a different story. After news of their divorce broke, Austin flooded Snapchat with content, vlogging about random daily activities. His post quickly went viral on TikTok, with users turning his meltdowns and strange conversations into audios and memes. Quote, posting over 40 Snapchat stories almost every single day since his divorce, Austin McBroom has consistently created absurd scenarios that have vlogified his life. Steven Asarsh writes for Passion Fruit earlier this year. While there was a lot of online discussion about the craziness of his content, the structure of Snapchat, with its lack of immediate feedback and comment comment sections allowed Austin to continue posting without facing direct criticism. Having said all that, it's unclear whether Snapchat intended to become a haven for canceled creators, but this decision has inadvertently set the platform up for continued success. In today's day and age, social media growth hinges on user satisfaction and offering creators financial security. By tapping into the network of canceled creators, Snapchat has a captive market, especially as other platforms are slowly embracing deplatforming and demonetizing certain creators. Snap has acknowledged that historically, it hasn't been the go-to for the creator economy. As Jim Shepard, director of global talent partnerships, put it, quote, "It's sometimes easy not to think about us when you're thinking about opportunities in the creator economy, because the content ecosystem on Snapchat is built on top of a camera-first communication tool. We run a bit under the radar. But I think over the last year to 2 years, we've been quietly building a very meaningful ecosystem of creators to build their businesses on our platform." It's clear Snapchat learned from the mistakes of other social media platforms and has prioritized putting creators first. This strategy has paid off in strides. The app is now more relevant than it's been in years, its user base continues to grow, and it's becoming the primary social media platform for some of the biggest names in the digital space, proving that an outdated messaging app could compete in the creator economy and regain relevance with a new generation of young social media users. Infinite Scroll is a podcast produced, presented, and co-written by me, Lauren Meisner, for Centennial World. This episode was researched and written by Annabelle Ben-David. Editing for this episode is also by me. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love you guys, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.